You can tune a guitar, but you can't tune a fish. Oh, but it's great to be a cowgirl. Hello everyone, welcome to your horoscopes for the new moon in Aries, happening on March the 22nd, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere with me, at 4:26 a.m. And that's Australian Eastern Time, so switch your clocks out for what works for you. But welcome. If you've not been here before, my name's Uma, and I've decided to change it up. Aries season is like the initiation into a brand new trip around the zodiac. And I want to give you, first of all, an overview of the astrological weather that's happening for all of us. And then I'm going to lead you into your private readings for your rising sign. So if you're cross-watching, then you may have heard this introduction before. So please do switch it out and head down to the description box and you can press the timestamp that's in correlation with your sign. So let's begin. As I said, Aries season is the freshness of a new cycle. I am so excited for this time of year because I really think that it's going to give us a wave of optimism that maybe we've been struggling to find in the recent past. I think that the kind of coagulation of the first bit of astrology at the start of the year is really easing, and we get to come into this new fresh space and be Aries. Aries to me is direction. Aries to me is a sense of autonomy and a sense of courage. I think to be the instigator of something, to start something off, takes courage, and it really takes you being comfortable in your own skin. That's what Aries wants for themselves, and that's what Aries wants for all of us. In the tarot, Aries can be represented in the major secrets by the Emperor. Now, to look at this card and to have a mind of wanting to bust down the oppressive structures that keep a lot of us bound up, to rally against the machines that would have us in bondage. The Emperor can be a bit of a tricky customer to look at. Things like hierarchy and patriarchy and top tier down stuff can kind of come up. But the tarot reminds us that we have every one of the major secrets in us. The archetype of the Emperor resides within us. That absolute autonomy, conviction, confidence to be oneself really can be found if you dig deep enough. Now, if you've got Aries placements, then of course you kind of know that in a natural, maybe even subconscious kind of way. For some of us others, it can be a little bit more hard to come by, but that's what the tarot is for. Now, this lunation is happening at a very critical point of the zodiac. 0 degrees of Aries is the first degree of 360 points around the universe. And this new moon is happening at exactitude at 0 degrees of Aries. So it kind of feels almost like a birthing. It's critical time. I've said it before, Aries really reminds me of the one with the matchbook and the first match ready to strike, to begin. The tarot card that represents 0 degrees of Aries is the Two of Wands. Now, I don't know if you're following my full trip over on my website, but I have been painting the tarot slowly, but surely. I'm actually using this new moon to reactivate that project. In my drawings, I've based the Two of Wands off Sissy Hankshaw. She's a character in a brilliant novel called Even Cowgirls Get the Blues by Tom Robbins. It was written in 1976, I think, or 79. Sissy is a world-famous hitchhiker. She was born with thumbs 4 times the size of the regular. And so when she was younger, her mum was really worried about her, and she was telling her doctors to find a young boy with ugly fingers and hook them up so she wouldn't be alone, she wouldn't be a spinster. But Sissy knew better. Since she was young, she felt that her thumbs were some kind of magical tool. The Two of Wands is two magic rods. Sissy, I reckon her thumbs are those magic rods. There's a portal that opens in the Two of Wands. There's a gateway. Wands are magical tools. And in some drawings of the card, the figure holds the world in the palm of their hand. And they're ready to go. They know where they're going. They know it's going to be an adventure. And they're champing at the bit to get that done. There's a passage in the book that I wanted to read to you. I'm going to try a little southern accent. Humour me or don't. Sissy's thumbs talk back to her in thumb talk. Tingles, throbs and itches. Until at last she knew. Accepted what she'd always sensed. They were an invitation. A privilege, audaciously and impolitely granted, perfumed with danger and surprise, offering her greater freedom of movement, inviting her to live life at some other level, if she dared. Now, I think that there's a lot in there for all of us. We have power over our destiny, as much as sometimes it feels like we don't. Aries reminds us that. Aries can sometimes get a bit frustrated with us that we don't recognize that in ourselves. Aries' sole purpose is to come forward, and from the plane of mind, they rule. It's almost as if they've been to the greater collective and they've just been birthed into this incarnation, and all of their enthusiasm for connectivity can sometimes be frustrating for them because they think to themselves, well, this is what I see. This is how I want to do it. This is what you should do. You can do this. Why aren't you doing it? There's a glut of planets that are in Aries right now. So it's not just this lunation at 0 degrees. There's also Mercury, which in the esoteric philosophy is the ruler of Aries. That's the brain access, the cerebral access to the spiritual. We want to build that rainbow bridge with that connection. There's also Chiron and Jupiter and the asteroid Vesta, and they've all just come into synchronicity over these last weeks. So I wonder if you can think back to the 13th of this month and pinpoint a moment of either reclamation or of deep healing. I had a really beautiful conversation with a dear friend of mine, Max. We were sitting in a park after a weekend away together. And through that conversation, Max gently but firmly reminded me of my life's work. I've done a lot of stuff in this life. I've been everywhere, man, And for the majority of my time spent in creative practice or in creating space, I was doing it from an unconscious soul level. I was doing it to connect the dots, connect the points, bring us all together. And I'd forgotten that for a time. I had maybe been self-deprecating, or I had maybe struck that match and burnt too much away. Max reminded me of the past and the present being on the same plane, coming together, that time that does this, We don't need to throw it all away. We don't need to live in the past. Aries doesn't want to live in the past. But we get to bring the best of us forward. We get to bring the best of our experiences, of our love, of our passion, of our magic into the future with us. And so I'm going to be really forever grateful for Max on the 13th. That conversation changed me, and hopefully it kind of improved my sense of humor as well about the whole thing. There's a glamour that I've been so attracted to, which is probably why I'm attracted to Tom Robbins' work, and to Sissy. Now, we're going to switch tracks and we're going to look at Aquarius. So this moon is happening, as I said, on the 22nd of March. The day after, on the 23rd of March, Pluto makes its ingress into Aquarius. Now, we've been waiting for this. Languages like power to the people. Remember all that cat power imagery that I've been ramming down your throat lately? If Capricorn represents hierarchy, which it does in some way, there's the mountain goat and the sea goat. In the ancient world, dolphins were considered sea goats. And so the essence of Capricorn is based on that principle of mountain goat at the top, sea goat at the bottom. And so Pluto, the planet of destruction and of disintegration, of removal, has been lingering at the final degree of Capricorn. And we can feel it in the world already, can't we? We can feel all of those hairline fractures, these systems of oppression, this fight back from fascist voices, from voices that wish to keep the language as it were, that wish to keep things stuck in the old days. It's all going away. And so Pluto is entering the day after this moon into the Aquarius, the sign of the people. 2 days after Pluto moves into Aquarius, Mars finally leaves Gemini and enters Cancer. And so all of my Gemini babes, particularly my Gemini moons, I might say, brethren, you and me, babe, there's going to be a release. There's going to be a culmination, perhaps, of some of this toing and froing, this kind of fight of the mind. I don't know if you've been waking up lately and have been already mid-conversation with yourself, or somebody else in there is having a chat and letting you know what they think of it. It's exhausting, but we can look forward to that movement. Mars leaving Gemini into the sign of Cancer. And so Cancer, I can almost feel this, the cardinal water, the nurturer of the zodiac. I can feel that kind of heat of Mars just going, hold up, hold up, hold up. Mama's pulling rank. Okay, so that's the collective astrology. Hand in hand, we're going to do this together. We're going to step into this new way of being. We're going to birth this new world together. We're going to take all of the beauty, all of that cream from our past selves and mix it into our future selves. We're going to stand here and be Aries and say, I am. If Aries says 2 words, it's I am. And there's no arguing with that. Hello, Capricorn. Welcome to your next chapter. So let's have a look at this astrology and see where it's playing out for you in your chart. If you're a Capricorn rising, then Aries rules your 4th house, which is our root system. It's our home, our stability, our privacy, our comfort. And I really like this feeling that all of that supportive energy is kind of existing there right now. Remember how I said that there's a glut of informants all in Aries at the moment. This is kind of nice for your sense of grounding. And I'm looking at this conjunction between Jupiter and Chiron that happened on the 13th of March. So cast your mind back, and maybe there was something around that time, the 12th or the 13th, that had you recognize the importance of that principle of nurturance, of home. I have this feeling, and I think it's all of the Even Cowgirls Get the Blues stuff. Sissy was a hitchhiker, man. Home was wherever she lay her head. And that's true. I think that, that some of us can live like that. I have a feeling that Sissy was probably a bit more of a Sagittarian than a Capricorn. For you, I reckon that there's a real structure that needs to exist in that space for you. Your home environment is important, and that simple action of closing the door is such a bountiful, what am I trying to say? Sorry, I lost my train of thought. That action of closing the door is such an instantaneous feeling of healing for you, Capricorn. So I like that this new moon, this 0 degrees of the zodiac, the first instance, has this moment in time like the scene has been set for you to manifest, to create that home environment. The fourth can relate to our ancestry as well. So maybe that's something that you can think about. Maybe there was a feeling of, yeah, like extra emphasis on healing some prior wounds, some unconscious wounds, some wounds from the past in relationship to your ancestry, in relationship to your home environment. I hope that that was the case, and I really hope that you can feel as excited as I am about this lunation and about the potential. It probably doesn't sound like it because I've got a cold. Sorry, I'm a bit husky, sexy phlegm, but I am really excited about this one, and I think that it really holds the seeds for some power, you know. Also with Pluto's shift to Aquarius, right? So you know all about this. You've been dealing with this vibe for the last 15 years. Pluto entered Capricorn in 2008 and is only now leaving the sign. So we can recognize my Capricorn sons, if that's who I'm talking to you. Hello, me too. The ego disintegration, the relinquishment of control, the dismantling of ourselves in order to reconstruct a new one. My Capricorn risings, that came from a much deeper place than the ego. That was your soul's integrity shifting, moving, allowing space to be reborn. And so Pluto will only be in Aquarius for a few months, and then it will retrograde back into Capricorn. So there is still some further lessons for us all, sorry, but there is, and we'll get there. We're going to learn those lessons. But you almost, I feel like it's kind of really important for you, Capricorn, to recognize the integrity or the weight of these lessons, as difficult as they may have been, which I can attest. Hello, again, Capricorn Sun. I can attest that they were, it was a knife's edge, such difficulty. Pluto isn't easy. Pluto's quite awful. But when we rise stronger than we ever could have imagined we would be. When we rise up from that, when we allow the new to grow through us and out of us. This is a generational shift. This shift that's happening from Capricorn to Aquarius we'll never experience again in our lifetime. We'll never experience Pluto and Capricorn again in our lifetime. So it's up to us to take what we learn from that period and to finesse it and to offer it to other folks. To other folks maybe that have a Pluto transit coming. So, as you know, I don't want to drag you back into that space, but you know, if you've been here with me for a while, you know that we don't like just shoot the shit, do we? We talk about the bigger stuff because it's nice. It's nice to have that feeling of safety. Looking at that fourth house again, you can be yourself with the right people. You can be your absolute vulnerable, uncomposed self. And of course, that's not with everyone. I said the right people, didn't I? And that's what I think you're kind of learning. And I think that this, what am I trying to say? This, sorry, excuse me. This is a revelation, Capricorn. And I'm kind of like, it's almost as if we've sort of run the marathon. And I'm there with you, you know, elated at the finish line. But then we recognize, oh shit, there's one more leg to go. We've got a rest stop here. We can gather our thoughts before the final charge. This period of time has not been easy. And my golly, you've done so well. You came back. You came back from the brink, Capricorn. We know that not everyone does. Gosh. Yeah, it's been a full on couple of months for me, Capricorn. I've been dealing with some big grief, big loss. Unexplainable. Doesn't make any sense. You know, it's unfair. Why did this happen? If only I could have. I think what this kind of work does for me is it really reminds me of this moment, right here, right now. And when we find the language, when we can talk about it, when we can share it with other people, and come into communion, we can celebrate together. So I think in the intro I was talking about the Venus conjunction with Juno as well. And that might be a nice thing for you to keep in your back pocket as well. So Venus is in their home sign of Taurus. Great. There's some pleasure there. There's some beauty. There's some sort of languid kind of cultivation happening there. And Juno, being the asteroid that can represent our relationships, well, Venus represents that too, but Juno is sort of like, there's a kind of like, it's how we commit, and it's also what we need from other folks and what we provide for them as well. So when I look at your chart, Capricorn, Taurus is your 5th house of self-expression. So I'd like to think that there's someone around or close by or soon to arrive that is going to sort of give you a little reminder of like the pleasures of life. Oh, and I'm looking at these cards and I think that I might be right. Holy shit. Okay, so let's focus in on 4th house, home environment, stability, privacy, a room of one's own. Absolutely, sure. Let's also remember Pisces, remember our instinct. Remember what lies inside of each and every one of us. I don't know why I want to say it, but like remember your like cowgirl pride, the untamed part. I don't know, I bang on about this book a whole bunch. I love it. It's like, it's sort of, it saved my life on many occasions. There's something so cosmic about the language, and there's something so meandering about the narrative. And it is about, almost as if it's about this very moment, it's about this disintegration of power structures. It's about consciousness rising to the point where we do in fact reach out and realize that we love one another. At the end of all of this, love is the only thing that we've got to rely on, right? And for you, Capricorn, I got the King of Cups. I got the 4 of Cups. And I got the Ace of Cups. So I want to talk to you about someone. I want to talk to you about someone that's around you right now that loves you so much. You can feel it. Maybe they've not said it, but you can feel it. Practice your Pisces intuition for a moment, won't you? And really lock into who I'm talking about right now. This person has, at their very core, boundless empathy. And they're sort of uncomfortable. No, they're not uncomfortable. They're always pretty chill. But they're not, when we say king, it's sort of like that's in name only. It's sort of like, it's not so much about the hierarchy, which is probably good to point out with you, Capricorn, because I know you do like a hierarchy. But this individual is love manifest, They've got all the caring thoughts for you in the world. And I think that's what I can see here is there's been a moment for you that you've maybe rejected that a bit, not rejected it, but you've been like, I'm doing my own thing. I actually need to chill right now. And I need to go over my own thoughts. There's a cup of love, an offering here, maybe from King, that you have sort of set down for a minute and you haven't been able to deal with that. But I think in this moment, Capricorn, you recognize that that cup is coming through the King of Cups, but it's coming from spirit. This emotional offer, this beautiful, bountiful, overflowing cup of love is yours to keep. Maybe not forever, but we only have this moment right now, don't we? Who knows about forever? No one can quantify forever. Forever's a fallacy. But also forever is forever and ever and ever. Everything's happening now, then all at once. So don't be shy. Pinpoint who this King of Cups is. Pinpoint who this person is that has so much love for you. Don't be gendered by this card too. Don't ever be gendered by the tarot. There's no gender in tarot, as my beautiful tarot mentor says. This person is coming from the gosh darn honest truth about their emotional investment with you. And recognize that perhaps maybe from some traumas around the fourth house, around abandonment, maybe that could be something that you sort of have that sort of wall and you don't take every offer that's given you. I really want to remind you that this offer, look at that big giant cup. This is the truth. Take it, angel. Take it, take it, take it. And enjoy it. Don't be scared. Don't be scared about what's going to come or how it may fuck it up or it's going to happen again. You know, you can feel it. Sometimes we've got to remember that. We have to separate our thoughts from our feelings. Our thoughts, our mind is always trying to protect us, right? It's always trying to second guess, warn us of potential fear, potential damage that's coming up. You don't have to worry about that. The tarot has told you that this is an offering from Spirit. Maybe one that you've sent out too. A little message in a bottle maybe. It's coming for you, babe. I trust that. I really believe it. Could have something to do with fourth house. It could have something to do with building a home. But I'm not going to lay any sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like expectation on the whole thing. I think at this time and place, Capricorn, after everything you've been through with all of those transits, that plutonic shift of identity, now you can open up to your emotional self. Now you can open up to your water. Allow it to flow. Allow it to overflow. This is yours, babe. Take it. That's your reading, Capricorn. Thank you so much for being here with me. If you're new, head over to umaruby.com and you can read my writing and look at my paintings. You can book yourself a reading with me if that's what you'd like to do. There's a list via the readings tab on my page. You can also send me some tip money at buymeacoffee.com/umaruby, although it's never essential, only if you've got some change to spare. I'll be with you in 2 weeks and we're going to discuss the full moon in Libra. So until then, my darling, get it. Get it, get it, get it. Get it while you can. As Janis Joplin said, get it while you can. You know that song? Oh God, how does the words go? In this world, if you read the papers, doll, we're all fighting with each other. There's no one you can count on, babe, not even your own brother. Until someone comes along, he's gonna give you his love and affection. I say get it while you can. Hey, I say get it while you can. Darling, get it while you can. Don't you turn your back on love. No, no, no. Bye. Hello Taurus, welcome to your leg of the journey. So, Aries for you is actually quite a private space. It's a space where maybe not so many other folks get to see, but it's also a space where you'll probably find a lot of connection with other people if you look for it. Your 12th house is your unconscious reality. It's the space of magic. It's the space of all of the philosophies that we kind of think about come manifest. It can relate to past lives. Maybe some ancestral lines can be traced through the 12th house as well. And so I like that this is where we start your new zodiac year in this place of privacy and of seclusion's the wrong word, but kind of rest. There's not so much that you need to do for other folks in this house, Taurus. You need to take this moment for yourself. Dream journaling and all of that kind of connection would be really great advice, but also just let it wash over you. Just let whatever happens happen at this new moon. There's power to this space. And if you've had a birth chart reading with me, we do go into it about the idea that the 12th could represent what ground we've traveled before this lifetime. All of that lovely, healing, bountiful energy that we can feel in Aries right now, you may be feeling in some sort of unconscious kind of way. You're thinking to yourself, wow, something's lifting, and I can't quite put my finger on it, but I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to let it happen. I hope this is how this astrology is playing out for you. I want you to think about the 12th or the 13th of March. And was there a wave of calm that came over you? Perhaps some of those deeper wounds, some of maybe the more subconscious, unconscious wounding that we all carry, we all bear those scars. There was something that was tending to that. There was a beautiful salve to that burn. Maybe not. But what I got to say is that we know that at a new moon, we manifest, we make magic, don't we? We get really, really deep into our practice. We don't for a moment laugh at ourselves for what we believe in. And some of the things that we believe in, we keep private, we keep to ourselves. You can't talk to everybody about, you can't talk to everybody about spirituality and interdimensionality. But you can have these conversations with yourself. In the tarot, there's the high priestess, right? The second secret in the major arcana, the second individual that the fool comes across. She knows everything. Every experience that the fool is about to go through, every lesson, every test, the high priestess knows it all. But she doesn't say anything. She keeps it all to herself because she knows that the fool needs to experience this before the lessons are truly understood. What's beyond her veil, she sits in front of this gossamer veil and there's some water. There seems to be an ocean behind her. I like to think that that's the 12th house. I like to think that that is the space where we all swim together and we come back into the past and the future and forwards and backwards, and what's that Simpsons line? Always twirling, twirling, twirling. Do you know? Anyway, General Kane, it doesn't matter if I've lost you. So this is where your manifestation is going to happen in the 12th, but I do want to draw your attention to your first house too, Taurus, because Venus is there. Your guiding light, your traditional ruler, the planet of beauty and pleasure and love and a languid enjoyment of life, is 5 degrees so far in Taurus, in a conjunction, as I said in the intro, with Juno, which it's not official, but I could decipher is the Queen of Cups. There's a lot of synchronicity with those two mythologies. And so what I'm thinking is that there's someone, you're learning a lot about the way that you operate in relationship with other folks. And as much as pleasure and enjoyment and a languid sensibility can often be a solo practice, and absolutely it should be, there's something about the kind of dance or to and fro. It feels like a tango. It feels kind of like a sort of moment of seduction. And this doesn't have to be so literal as it's with somebody else, but you're bringing somebody else into your consciousness. You're remembering how beautiful it is to experience this stuff with other people. If you're in partnership or in relationship right now, then maybe there's an extra emphasis on that sensuality. If you're solo, then maybe you're thinking to yourself, yeah, oh, to have a lover is like so gorgeous. So play with that. It's kind of playful energy. I mean, I know that Juno is another word for Hera, and we all know the toxicity of that relationship between Hera and Zeus, the push and pull. You probably wouldn't want to be their friend, having them drag their emotional pitfalls right in front of your face every day. But really, these stories that we receive, a lot of them were lost to time. A lot of them were destroyed by the overarching rulership of the religion in power. A lot of the pagan traditions and stories, a lot of them were scrubbed out. It's only we're sort of bowerbirding what we can from what was left about these things and kind of coming from it from a certain vantage point. It's really interesting to sort of read the mythology of the past in the tradition of sort of translation and passing it forward, and to see whose filter it was coming through as well. A lot of them were men, not to be gendered about it, but a lot of them were. And so it's now that we're in contemporary culture and we get to hear these stories again, but we get to hear them from the perspective of different understandings, people with different gender identities, different perspectives on the whole thing. Just something to think about. Just something to think about. I'm going to get you some tarot cards. I like this sort of, it feels like as much as there's that sort of energy of like the match, as I was saying, it's sort of like the emperor within, the autonomy of oneself. There's something really kind of sensual about this for you, Taurus. I think it's been a long time coming. It's just sort of like, oh yeah. Oh, great. Let's move forward, but let's do it my way, which is much more paced out. Take the time to receive the pleasure that you enjoy. Take the time to receive the moment the way that you want it to be. Taurus, out of all of us, knows that it takes as long as it needs to take. That pleasure is not something that is instantaneous. Our gratification blooms like a flower. All right, Queen of Cups. Well, there's Juno. So great. We're talking about the right thing. I also got the King of Swords, the Five of Wands, and the Nine of Swords. Yeah, this to me feels like a bit of a battle of the minds. Can you see that? And you can see in these two figures, the Queen's got her back to this King of Swords character. King of Swords is supportive. King of Swords is very, very smart. They use their brain. They're very intelligent, and they're always working from that point of light. They're always working about problem solving and about understanding the issue. Sometimes we can see our therapists in the King of Swords. It's someone external from us, someone that has a brilliant mind. I always think of Cat Power, Shan Marshall from Cat Power. I think I've told you the story a million times, but that intellect, that incredible mind that has been worked with through time, and also the incredible social conscience too. But as I look at this, there's a test of will here, a sparring match, and also some potential anxiety. So what I see is these two are actually inside of you. Part of you is the lover, and part of you is the protector. There's something that's going on, Taurus, where there's almost like there's a doorway that is jammed shut. Perhaps I won't open that one at the moment because I've been there before and I know what that pain feels like and I won't do it again. And yet the Queen of Cups is here saying, I'm here with Venus. This is what you do. You enjoy, you feel pleasure, you seek it out. You know the time it takes to cultivate something. So what I'm saying, Taurus, is that maybe at this new moon, if you use this 0 degrees of Aries as the refresher button and use it in solo, use it in private, in your 12th house, journey back there, journey back to your unconscious mind, journey back to different lifetimes, different experiences of life and love, and maybe come to recognize where some of this pragmatism or worry about opening up has come from. And it could have been something that you've experienced in this lifetime. It might not be as well. This is the thing that the 12th house can teach you. It might be something that lingers in your ecosystem from generations gone by, lifetimes gone by. So pick that apart, because this 5 of Wands sparring match, test of will, I think it's between Queen and King. The two polarities within you, the yin, the yang, the parts of you that are just waiting and opening and ready to receive, and the parts of you that are protecting you, that are saying, actually, no, we're not going down that road again because I don't trust it. That's one thing to recognize in the King of Swords, is that there is trust. You can trust the King of Swords, but it's also important to have a conversation with them. Because if we think about our mind and its commitment to protecting us, we think about that preemptive quality that the brain can have over the body, that it's consistently trying to warn us about potential danger because we've been there before, we've been here before. Oh, I don't trust this. This doesn't add up. You can thank it for that. But if it's preemptive, if it's actually non-existent in the environment, if it's not manifesting, if it's not showing up, if the danger isn't real, then it's stopping you. It's stopping you from engaging either with someone else, or it's stopping you from engaging with life itself, with the simple pleasures of life, with opening the eyes to this very moment, to being here, face to face. Does that make sense to you, Taurus? I hope that it does. Aries is private for you, so this is not something that needs to be, put to the committee. The 12th house is incredibly internal. It might be if you can afford it, it might be a really great night to spend alone, have a bath, light a candle. Ask yourself, ask your brain, ask your King of Swords in there that's committed to protection. Ask them if you really need it, or let them know that you don't, that you've got this, that you're willing and ready to receive. And as I said, it doesn't have to be so literal as a new partnership, a new lover. But it's just that willingness to accept the invitation of pleasure in your ecosystem, to say to yourself, oh yeah, I am a Taurus. I love it when things feel really good. I love eating a beautiful meal with another. I love sharing my expertise in pleasure with other people. That's your reading. Love you, Taurus. I hope that was a nice one. I hope you feel as kind of energized about this new moon as I do. It's coming to me in fine form. I'm really looking forward to it. Head to umaruby.com if you're new here and you've not seen my work before. You can look at my paintings and read my writing. You can also book yourself a birth chart reading there via the readings tab. You can also throw some money in the tip jar at buymeacoffee.com/umaruby, although that's not essential, only if you can spare it. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this new format. Please do let me know down below if it's working, if this new structure of the horoscopes works out for you, if it's not too long, too short, whatever. I'll be speaking to you in 2 weeks for the full moon in Libra. So until then, remember that it's great to be a cowgirl. Be sissy. Allow yourself to find the next pathway. Bye, Taurus. Hello, Virgo. Welcome to your chapter of the story. So, Aries, for you, rules over your 8th house. And it has a lot of different definitions. One of them is the feeling of deep connection with other folks, almost like some sort of contractual obligation. This can happen in many different layers, sort of, in the day-to-day. It can be in regard to how our resources are wrapped up with other folks. So it can be financial collaborations. It can also point to the parts of life that are sublime in their intensity. In the 8th house, we come into connection with somebody else and we feel the ecstasy of that. And we also feel the heartbreak and the grief of that too. The 8th can talk to letting go on many different levels. The French term for an orgasm is little death, right? And there's that sort of similarity in, how am I trying to describe this? Death is the final frontier, right? Death is when the soul leaves the body. The French say that an orgasm, the little death, is a micro experience of that. In the 8th house, we kind of come into some sense of like soul reckoning as well. It's a difficult path to take for everyone. We all must do it at some time. I wonder, a manifestation that is so bold like this one, that is so integral, that is so ready to be lit. I'm going to leave that up to you, Virgo, to let you explore and understand how this astrology might be playing out for you. Keeping in mind that we've just had a big wave of exaggerated healing in that house for you. When Jupiter came into conjunction with Chiron on the 12th or the 13th of March, there was an opportunity there to salve some wounding. And that wounding simply could be fear, it doesn't have to be as literal as the process of loss and grief or ecstasy and connection, although it might be. But it might be the relinquishment of some kind of fear about the ties that bind us together, and how time is the thing that unpicks that. None of us know how long we're here for. What we can do is exist in this minute right now. So tell me about the healing that may be in that house for you. Tell me about what you hope to seek out and move towards in this house. I see that Aries rules this place for you, Virgo, so it feels like there is like a leadership quality here. I wonder if there's parts of the difficult conversations about life or the difficult moments in life that you're quite good at, that maybe you feel that you can be of some kind of help with. There's things that you'd like to explore and learn more about the moment of impact where we're shell-shocked, where our soul is, we kind of go into like battle for our soul in the 8th house. Now this is the much deeper terrain. It could be as simple as collaborative relationships, or kind of the way that our resources are wrapped up in the other. Could be that. But I feel here that there's something, I'm looking at Mars that's leaving Gemini in those critical final degrees of Gemini. For the last 7 months, there's been some feeling of propulsion in your career zone, in your 10th house. Perhaps you've been seeking out, what am I going to do next? Like, what am I here for? What am I good at? I'm so frustrated with the lot that I've been given. This hasn't worked out, or this isn't working out the way that it used to for me anymore. And I'm kind of angry about that, because that was a sure thing as far as I could see, or that's what I've committed my life to up to this point. That agitation is going to be cooled off. Mars is leaving Gemini and entering Cancer. And as I said before, it's that moment, that sort of like hold up, chill kind of feeling. So has there been revelations for you? Has there been a pathway? 2 of Wands, Sissy. Has there been a pathway that you can see now that maybe you didn't see before? Something is guiding you towards a new way of presenting yourself, a public perception, a career path, a legacy that maybe is different to the way that it used to be. Maybe. I'm going to get you some tarot, Virgo. And I just want to, I want to linger in this 8th house definition. And that's the tricky thing about astrology, is that, it is so, what's the word? Like nebulous. It can take many different forms from whatever perspective you're looking at it from. It can mean different things, but there's no finite resolution, which maybe is sometimes tricky for a Virgo to get their head around, because it's sort of like, no, just tell me the rules. Like, I just need, like, how do I, like, give me the instructions, I'll do it myself, this kind of feeling. But the answer is that the 8th is vast. It can be spooky, it can be, like, intensity is the best word for it. And so maybe there's something that's in your experience of the 8th, and you can kind of find the clues. You can witness grief. Perhaps you can prepare people for grief, before or after care of that kind of thing. Maybe you're experiencing some mad sex magic. That could be something that plays out in the 8th as well. And this new moon in Aries is kind of like dominant. My definition stays the same, and it changes and changes and changes the more that I do these readings, and the more also that I experience the astrology for myself. The more I come to a relationship with my 8th house and what that means. A lot of spiritual language is around the topic of soul contracts, and I find that to be interesting. It's not something I know very much about, nor have I invested in learning about it so much as perhaps some of the other stuff. There's that lingering feeling of being drawn to someone or coming into relationship with someone for a time, for a purpose, and coming to really feel the connection between the two of you. I wonder, I'm sure you have, Virgo, you've laid up at night, staring into the eyes of another, thinking to yourself, you're a part of me, you know? We all interrelate with folks in different ways, depending on our experience. There's a big part of us that doesn't want to be abandoned. And so sometimes we can kind of steel up. We can become ultra pragmatic. We can become ultra rational and disallow some of those intense feelings that show themselves in the 8th house. When we have to say goodbye to someone in this life or because they've left this life, there are so many questions that are unanswered, and it takes our lifetime to resolve that and answer those questions for ourselves. If you're going to be manifesting and working with this new moon emperor energy, if you're going to be sissy and get that portal, that doorway open, I wonder how you're going to do that. In what shape and color will this take place for you? I got the Knight of Wands, the Ace of Cups, I got Judgment, and I got the 5 of Pentacles. This Knight of Wands is going in the other direction. This is someone who has a lot of fire in their belly. This is someone with a majesty and a mystery about them. There's a magical quality to this Knight, and they've got the gift of the gab. That's for sure. They seem to be running in the other direction to all of these folks in this reading. They're followed by the Ace of Cups, which is a real offer of love, a genuine offering of connection, a crystallized moment of purity in our emotional selves, in our physical body. It almost looks to me in some way that this Knight is running away from that. There was a diversion, there was a moving away from this. And this could be Mars. I could see this as this quick to action in the 10th. And sort of out of the gate, shooting in a different direction, perhaps than this. Because these cards here, Judgment is a powerful image. And the 5 of Pentacles speaks to me a lot about abandonment, and a lot about grief and loneliness. Judgment right in the center here asks us, are we going to live a life half-lived? We can live our lives however we choose. It's up to us, it really is. We have 24 hours in a day, and we get to spend them the way that we want to. Is Mars dragging you in some kind of direction that will have you miss this rare opportunity that's handed to you from Spirit to really get in touch with your emotional system, to really get in touch with your feelings, to really feel the sublime wave that true love can bring? Because you're frightened of rejection, frightened of abandonment, frightened of being left on the shelf, being discarded? Are you busying yourself in something? Are you being distracted by some line of interest that is having you kind of avoid this cup? No matter which pathway you choose, sissy, which way you decide to go, it's the right one. And hell, you're a hitchhiker, you know, you can go that way, you can go this way, you can always come back around again. But these cards and these houses, they're telling me a story. They're telling me to keep your heart open as you travel on. Don't allow yourself to calcify to the point where these sorts of offers, which are 1 in a million, I tell you what, they don't come around very often. This thing is yours to be felt. And this we don't know about. No one can really know for sure what happens when it's all said and done, when we lose our battle in the 8th house. No one really knows. There's heavily documented evidence of experiences near to death. There's information that sort of trickles down from people's brush with the fate, but no one really knows. And what you hold to be true, what you believe in, is your guiding light in this life, will come into some sort of reckoning when it's all said and done. You know, there's countless stories of folks when they're saying goodbye, when they're finished, none of them think to themselves, oh yeah, I'm really rich. Look at everything that I accrued. The last thought that they have is, look at how much I was loved. Look at how much I opened myself up to being received. That's a beautiful legacy. That's one that's much more in tune, I think, with your soul, Virgo. And bring it down to earth, bring it down to reality. Sure, it comes from here, comes out here. So have a think about it. Do a little research if you need to. Read up on the 8th house. Read what, excuse me, other astrologers say about it. This is just my perspective. One little pinpoint in a galaxy. That's your reading, Virgo. Huge love to you. I'm looking forward to it. That day after, when Pluto enters Aquarius, we're all going to come together and share stories, see how it might be, see what clues we receive as to what this next generation, this next era is going to hold. How will the human collective interrelate with each other? We come to a point where we all recognize our yearning deep below and can join in and accept each other as we accept ourselves. 2 weeks and it's the full moon in Libra. Head to umaruby.com, get your birth chart read by me if you haven't already. If you're new here, you can head to my website too and read my writing, look at my paintings, whatever you like to do. Send me a message if this sort of stuff resonates with you. Until I speak to you again, take care, Virgo. Much love. Be sissy. Guide it. That way. That way. Greater freedom of movement. Bye.